So, you're here because you love the bass, right? Whether that's sub bass, the rumbling in your chest, or the mid bass, the thumps, the hits, the slam. In today's video, I have 11 total IEMs that covers everything you could possibly love about bass. Stay tuned. Hey friends, Tim here. Welcome back to another video on Thieaudio. Before we begin this video, there's a giveaway going on for the C12 Gold Edition. Yes, the newly dropped C12 Gold Edition, and to enter the giveaway is very simple. 1, be subscribed to this channel. 2, comment down below what's your #1 favorite bassy IEM. And number 3 is to click the link in the description for further details. One more thing before we get into the video. As you guys may know, the C12 Gold Edition first 100 pieces was $159. Those are all sold out now. The price is now $169, but for the viewers of Thieaudio, FiiO has generously given us a coupon for $10 off. So only for the people who watch this video or people who have seen this video, you guys get a coupon to buy the C12 Gold Edition at the early bird price. Thank you, FiiO. Now, with all that out of the way, let's jump into the actual list. Now, the list is going to be broken up into 4 different parts. Part number 1 is going to focus on IEMs that have sub bass, and a lot of sub bass, not so much mid bass. So for those of you who really wants the rumble but not so much the slam, this part is for you. Part number 2 is going to focus on bassy IEMs that has a neutral mid-range and treble overall. Part number 3 is going to be the same bassy IEM but more V-shape in signature. So for those of you who want the extra fun, the V-shape section is going to be for you. And part number 4 has 2 very special IEM. That's gonna be at the end. Let us jump right into part number 1 with IEMs that focus a lot more on the sub bass than the mid bass. These IEMs are gonna be best for those of you who really want a clean mid range but still want a lot of bass at the same time. And the first one, the cheapest one in the list, is gonna be Truthears X Crinacle 0. Now this one follows the Harman target almost to a T. A lot of sub bass, some mid bass, not so much. It retains a relatively clean mid range across the board, all the way up to the mid range where it has a lot of energy with decent treble extension as well. Great IEM overall for $50, probably one of the best. And if you're looking for just purely sub bass at under $100, this is the only option available. Moving up to the second recommendation for purely sub bass, I would say this one jumps up in price by a lot, like 10x the price of Truthears 0, because there's not a lot of IEMs that follows this target in particular in a lot of different price ranges. So you have the option of the Truthears 0 and then this one at $500 plus. And this one is called the Moondrop Variation. Expensive, yes, but performance is way beyond the asking price. This thing is $520, performs as well as $800 to $900 IEM. The sub bass in here is super strong, very rumbly with good level of texture as well. The mid bass is cut back, leaving room for a very clean mid range from 200 Hz all the way up to a very beautifully energized upper mid range and incredible level of treble and treble air. This thing is open. The soundstage is wide, great for female vocals, great for EDMs, just a sub bass monster. And last in this section, we have the Monarch MK1. Similar tuning to the Variations, sub bass focus, of course, with a clean mid range, good energy in the upper mids. The treble area here is not as good as the Variation. The sub bass as well is not as strong as the Variation. So you might be wondering now, how is this an upgrade? Well, the detail level of the Monarch MK1 is more than the Variation. The bass texture is better, instrumental separation better as well. So as an upgrade, I would say this is purely in the detail department. If you want the most amount of sub bass possible, the Variation is still gonna be the one to go for. This one is more so if you want a better IEM in general, but of course with a little bit of sacrifice in the sub bass level and treble quality. Next section, we have the bassy IEM but neutral mid range and treble, and the cheapest one I recommend in this category is the Tripowin Mele, an HBB collab himself. If you guys don't know HBB, he loves bass and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to bass. The Mele has good sub bass and mid bass. The mid range is done generally correct. The treble area is the only part of concern. It is on the darker side, so you're not gonna get a lot of details coming out of this IEM. But for some of you who really love a more relaxing signature, you really want to focus on just the bass alone, and you don't really want a lot of the sparkle, then the Mele is going to be the best fit for you. Moving up the roster, we have the FiiO X Crinacle FHE, or its nickname the Eclipse. Now this one has a lot of bass, mainly focused on the sub bass, yes, but it does have good mid bass as well. Mid bass and lower mid range is really good on this one, and the energy in the upper mid range is also nice. Treble area can be a little bit uneven with little bits of peaks here and there, but we're here for bass, and bass quality is what matters. This thing has a lot of bass, and the quality of bass here is really nice, dynamic, punchy, just all around great choice for bass heads out there. And last for this section is not just one IEM, but a whole family of IEM. I'm talking about the Moondrops and Tanchjims type of IEMs, the Aria, the Starfield, the Kato, the Hana 2021, the Oxygen, and to an extent, the Tin Hi-Fi T3 Plus. Now these all have very similar signature, especially in the bass department. It has a lot of focus on the mid bass, some sub bass. All of them are very beginner friendly IEM that's super fun. The Kato and the Oxygen are going to be the best detailed out of all of them. The bass dynamics on those two are also going to be the best, but the cheapest one, the most bang for buck, is going to be the Aria and the Tin T3 Plus. All of them have really nicely clean mid-range, a touch of warmth in the lower mid-range, but very pleasingly done. Moving on, we have the V-shape section, the fun section, the a lot of bass and a lot of treble section, whatever you want to call it. This is the fun zone, and the cheapest one in this video for this category is only $15. It's a CCA CRA, a lot of bass and good bass as well, especially for $15. The treble area is also quite nicely done, though a little bit uneven. There's some peaks here and there, but it is well extended, so I'll give it that. Despite it being a little bit uneven, you still get quite a lot of energy here, which I can highly appreciate. It's V-shaped, the bass is super fun. You'll love everything about the CCA CRA, especially for the money that you spend. Our next one keeps a similar tuning to the CCA CRA, but a huge improvements in details and in treble area. This one is the IKKO OH10 sub bass rumbly monster with a lot of mid bass as well. This thing is one of the old but gold bass god under $200. It is just a fantastic IEM. If you want a V shape that's super fun with good treble, great details, and a lot of bass, the IKKO OH10 almost needs no introduction at this point. Worth the upgrade absolutely from the CRA. And last but not least, in the V-shape department, we have the 7Hz Timeless. Now, if you want the most details or the fastest, the most impactful hitting bass out of your V-shape, the Timeless for under $300, under $400, under $500 is probably the best option. The level of details on this is insane, and the treble is a lot, and it's probably the best quality treble out of the three that I mentioned in this V-shape section. Just all in all, an upgrade over the previous two in almost every regard. The bass quality is better, the mid-range is the best out of three, the treble is also the best, and details again also the best. Now we're on to the last section, this special section. These two IEMs are simply the best in bass in their own separate ways. Of course, they're not the same, they're super special IEM. The first one, and the one you guys probably know the most as the king of bass in the whole world of IEM, the Sony IER-Z1R. Go to any reviewer's list, you'll see the Z1R as maybe 9 out of 10 times voted the best bass in the IEM world. This bass is just unbeatable, and it's not the sheer bass amount, which this has a lot of, but it's the bass details, the bass texture, the realisticness of the bass. It really feels like you're listening to subwoofers. It's that good. The rumbliness, the texture, the detail, it's just overall undisputed bass king, and that's not the only good thing about it. Of course, this is an endgame IEM through and through. Detail level on this is also gonna be top tier endgame level as well. The treble is insanely good, super smooth, little details in the treble shines, but the treble doesn't feel wispy in any way, super strong. The only thing about this is that the mid-range is a little bit uneven. The upper mids has a little bit of a dip, so vocals do feel a little bit more in the background, but if anything, it serves to kind of highlight the strong and good bass that this has overall. So for me, I really don't mind a little bit of dip in mid-range. Some of you might mind though if you're into vocals as well, but if you're just into bass, you're looking for bass god, if you will, the C1R simply is unbeatable. It is the one to grab, the end game for all bass heads. So now you might be wondering, after the biggest praise for the C1R possible, what other IEM can I possibly talk about that is special enough to stand alongside the C1R in this special segment? Well, let me tell you, look at this graph. This is a graph of every single IEM I talked about in this video. If you notice, the bass level is generally around the same area with a little bit of deviations here and there. But take a look at this last IEM. There. That's how much bass we're looking at on this one. That's a lot of bass, considerably more than the rest of the IEM I talked about in this video so far. And the best part is, it does not sacrifice the mid-range or treble. The mid-range and treble are beautifully done. The treble is not as bright, but it's beautifully tuned, balanced, the vocals, everything comes across correct with the addition of the monstrous amount of bass. And this IEM is the Fat Freak Maestro Mini. Oh my god, is this a lot of bass, but so extremely well done. I've not heard an IEM quite like this one before. If you're a bass head, this one is one that you need to consider. 400 USD. It has so much sub bass. You feel it around here, especially if you listen to EDMs or any song that has a lot of bass. You feel it, man. Like right here on your shoulders, around here is rumbly, and the mid bass is thumpy, while at the same time everything else is not compromised. Male vocals, female vocals, mid-range instruments, treble area, they all sound correct. Of course, there's a lot of IEMs that are bass canons but are simply trash at everything else. Those I would never recommend to you guys, looking at the Honeydew here. But this one is special. It's incredible for what it can do. A true bass head IEM without compromises. A bass canon that is clean. Now, there is a downside for having this much bass, of course. You lose a lot of details. Yes, that's to no surprise. Treble details, mid-range details. It's not gonna be the most crystal clear when you have this much low end built in. But if you just want a lot of bass and you don't want to sacrifice anything else at all, this is the only IEM I can think of that has this canon-worthy amount of bass to satisfy basically every bass head imaginable. So yes, the Maestro Mini by Fat Freak, just incredible. Alright, that is it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to enter the giveaway, follow the link in the description below, and of course don't forget to comment your #1 bass IEM down in the comment section as well. And with that being said, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Bye.